We will send a light through a message that will illuminate everyone that we come into contact with. We will be deliberate in planting seeds for growth in our generations and for those to come. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Welcome back to the Be Light Podcast. It's your boy K.Sloan. Here with my dog.
Hey, John. Light come on. You know, that light, you're like, ding, it's like the light came on.
Mentally, you got to be able to say, I can get myself out of any hole.
Welcome back to the Be Alive Podcast. It's your boy K.Sloan here with my dog.
J.Jones. What's up, y'all? What's up?
Man, and we got a special guest today. We're going to let him introduce himself, a brother that is doing a lot of great things in the community here in El Paso. As y'all know, I'm located in El Paso. J.Jones located in Fort Worth. But I met a lot of great people out here in El Paso, a lot of people doing good things, working hard. And it's really positive to see a young black brother that's really doing a lot of great things with a good head on his shoulders. And he got a lot of good stuff to share. So I'll go ahead and let him introduce himself.
All right. My name is Darius Brown. Appreciate y'all having me on. I'm currently an educator, social studies here in El Paso at Father Yermo High School and a coach here at Cathedral High School. So I'm kind of double dipping, going back and forth between two schools, coaching defensive backs. And raised here in El Paso. So I think that's a really interesting thing to discuss, especially with this being a minority town. Being a minority in a minority town, is definitely a little different. So I feel like my experience is a little bit different than what most people will expect. But I'm excited just to be here to talk with other like-minded individuals because it's like seeing a unicorn out here. Seeing a lot of us running around doing what we got to do. So I appreciate this. I appreciate y'all having me on.
No doubt, brother. We appreciate you being here. J.Jones, how you feeling, bro?
Blessed, highly favored. I'm happy to be here, like always, in all ways.
Oh, hold up. Okay. Bars, B-ball.
Yeah.
Let you know, so I was thinking today, right, before we got on here, because we was talking and chopping it a little bit. I chopped it up with both of y'all kind of off the record, and then we got on here, met beforehand. And me and Jay Jones was talking a little bit about, just the program that we are in now, the organization that we getting into, me and Coach Brown. And bro, it's so crazy how needed it is for us black people to be together, bro. Everywhere, El Paso for sure. Like, we know that's a whole different. We'll talk about that dynamic here soon, but it's everywhere, bro. I just love seeing black people come together because we so used to seeing us tear each other down. You know what I'm saying? That crab in the bucket type thing going on. It's like, man, I can't cheer for this brother because I feel like there's so much I ain't got yet. So it's always a blessing for me to see good, strong brothers come together, man. I'm like, dog, I love meeting good brothers. That's for sure. That's for sure because it's necessary. It's necessary. But man, bro, like let's go ahead and get this thing rocking. Let's go ahead and get this thing
Good
rocking.
rock. So with y'all, so speaking of that association that you're talking about, Kerry, it's the Black Coaches. Yeah, what's the
Black Coaches Association, El Paso Black Coaches Association.
There we go, that part. So yeah, y'all both running that, rocking with that. So I'm proud of y'all. First of all, because like Kerry said, we need to support each other instead of trying to bring each other down. So how about y'all talk about that Black Coaches Association of El Paso? And what position do you have, Darius? Put that first of all.
Well, that's kind of a funny story because so I don't like to toot my own horn, but I think I'm pretty active on social media with my LED stuff. But so I'm usually on Twitter. I have a little bit of a following. I'm on Instagram, a little bit of following. I'm not talking anything too major, but I do like work with other people. We make some content. We put it up just like you guys do. And so we get into the meeting, and the head coach, the coach that's leading the meeting says, "Oh, well, we need someone to run the social media accounts." And does anyone want to do that? And I was just kind of
Yeah, he ain't had no
I was
option. It
looking the
wasn't.
other way. I was looking the other way because I was like, I know I got a lot of things going on my own, so I was like, I'm gonna have to let someone else handle this one.
Man.
And one other coach said, "Oh, I know someone. He's not in the meeting right now, but I know someone." And the coach was like, "Nah, we need someone that's in the meeting right now, probably to start because we want to get to start ASAP." So again, I'm looking the other way. I'm like that student in the classroom, like this. Don't call on me.
Yeah.
Don't call on me. And then one of my other coach friends, Coach Rashawn Isaac, he's like, "Oh, well, Coach Brown, he could do it. He's real good at that stuff." And I was like,
Man.
"Oh, bro." So I guess now I'm the social media director, and I guess They said I'm gonna be like the historian. I guess just keeping track of all the events and stuff like that we got going on. So I guess it's cool, getting more publicity for the Black coaches here in the area. So I'm looking forward to working with everyone, especially with Coach Sloan here.
And you already started it 2 days ago, and he already got the UIL director. That's what Coach just told me on the phone before we started. He already got the UIL director following us on there. So I
Hey,
mean, yeah, Coach
but
Brown.
you got to understand that might be a blessing. You put that on your resume, or you meet the right person. It's
Well,
only up from there. So
It's only
that's
up.
probably God bless you.
it's definitely big because right now I'm actually in another organization in El Paso. That one's El Paso Young Black Leaders, and
Mm.
I'm working with them, kind of trying to cultivate the youth, teaching them more of the soft skills of leadership, like communication and problem solving, things like that. So I was already kind of tapped in with the community.
Uh-oh.
So this is another opportunity to
Oh,
be doing that. So I think I'm definitely putting more on my plate, but I mean, I think I'm at a place right now where I can handle it, and just
mhm.
again networking with other Black professionals, other young guys, other young women that are also doing great things, so that we can work together and really start putting other people on, and then that kind of blesses us at the same time.
Bro, it
Yeah.
always does, bro. It always
And
does.
a full plate gonna keep you full. So
Yeah,
that's the
Facts.
thing.
That's a good way to put that. I like that. So full play gonna keep you full.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's what's so crazy about the community that we're in right now is that I feel like we let our own food get cold staring at someone else's plate.
Right.
So you're over here like, oh, well, what they got going on or what they do.
Right.
Why don't I have that food on my plate? And then the whole time, all your gifts on your plate are kind of going cold and stale.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that's a big deal right there, what you just said.
No,
Yeah.
big facts, big facts. I think that comes from just not knowing where you stand. You're not able to see your blessings because you focus on other people. It's just like you wasted so much time. Like you wasted so much time because we talked about last podcast, bro. Like how you got some people that literally just totally fixate themselves on what other people have going on. Like I've been like that person in sports. When I used to play sports, I used to fixate myself on the successes of others, like just to make sure that I was gonna beat you, or I knew I was upcoming against you. Next week I made sure I knew everything about you, and then I patterned my game to be able to wax you. That was just the way I thought of it. But then coming into like our everyday life, it's like, man, you can't do that. It's just such a waste of time. Like you have to you
Mhm.
create your unique path and be confident in what you got going on. So I think that's big. That's big.
I think that's just like a very negative like way to think of it. When in all actuality, and I tell my students and I tell my student athletes all the time that a lot of times your confidence that comes from your own preparation. Like I don't have to worry about anyone else. Like I'm not saying that I'm the greatest, but I don't have to worry about anyone else because I trust my own preparation. I trust my own skills. I trust my own blessings. And wherever the chips may fall after that, I mean, that's outside of my control.
Mhm.
But I can control my preparation. I can control my energy. I can control the way that I care about doing things. So ultimately, like that's why I feel like I'm so confident in different circles now because I kind of stopped looking at everyone else and just started working on like my own individual blessings and skills, and then really trying to round myself out as a person.
Facts, facts. And, you know, that's what it's all about, bro. It's just kind of just making sure we confident, and that's how we can link up. That's how we can link up. You can link up when you ditch your ego. Now you don't got an ego in the way because you ain't got no insecurities that's under the surface, just bubbling all the time. And at any given moment, it's like a landmine when somebody steps on it on accident, and now you just, you
Mm-hmm.
know, you show it all. You show your, like my, you know what I mean, like my OGs would say, you would show your you said we don't cuss on the podcast, but you dig what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
think
yeah,
you guys had said on one of the previous podcasts, ditch the ego and go with the we go. And I think that's the biggest thing that I probably like can relate to, because so many of us is that crab in the bucket mentality again, where they're like, oh, they're looking at someone else. Oh, I got to get in my bag because that person doing this or that person doing that. When in all actuality, we could be boosting each other. It's just like, okay, I'll pull you up, I'll pass you up, and now you pull me up, and then now we're just climbing together. That's all it has to be.
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
people don't realize that it's enough for everybody to eat. It's enough. It's enough out there. It's a whole world. We can all do something, a different way. We can all get box trucks, and
Yeah.
it's enough deliveries for everybody to eat. So that's what it is. You don't have to try to hate on somebody. Try to learn from somebody. So
Man, and once
that's
you
my
bring them, bro, once you bring them skills together, like you said, you know, we could all get box trucks. We can all bring our food together and eat, but we could all bring our food together and feed people, and they'll bring us return value. You know what I'm saying? They'll give us money, and then now we able to do more. Like I feel like I was reading a tweet the other day, and they was talking about some investor, because you know investors' mindsets, they like, you know, they put money into things that grow. Like they put you know, like you are Jay Jones investing a lot, and I don't know if you investing yourself, Brown. I just got in recently, so I'm jumping in the game, bro. I'm in the game.
Thank
I'm
you.
trying to,
Thank
yeah, I'm jumping in the game. But with an investor, their mindset is like I put it in, it grows, right? And they
you.
thinking about like I saw somebody say something about the educate, not the educator, the entertainers today. You get the top four biggest entertainers that we have. If they work together, there would be a billionaire already for us, or there, you know what I mean? Like there would have been, sorry, more billionaires for us because we got Kanye West now, which is crazy. But there would be more than just Kanye. You know what I'm saying? We would
mm,
have like at least 10, 15 if all these entertainers would start to come together and like work together. But it's just that, you know, that ego ain't gonna allow, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying, the richest in the game, the ones that's really killing it to get with another one that's really killing it and another one that's really killing it, and just being like, let's build more. Let's build more and then
mm,
see what
Mhm.
happens. That ain't
yeah.
people gonna figure it out. Well, I
we
don't know.
gonna we
I
gonna
don't
get there.
care if they figure it out or not. I'm gonna figure it out with y'all.
Right.
And we gonna show everybody. You dig what I'm saying? We ain't gonna wait for people to figure it out. We're gonna have to show it and model it. So that's gonna be what we continue to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And
So
speaking of, doing stuff, I want you to talk about your LED be a light. It's kind of like
LED.
it's kind of
So
like our stuff, but you had your little LED. So we working together already.
Yeah, does
I like
it?
it.
Yeah,
Collab.
yeah.
It's
Light
like a
sources.
collaboration. We all
So
being a light. So.
I think for me, LED really started to take off when I just knew I was like, okay, I want to be more like being a coach and an educator. I knew that connections and really bonding with people was going to take me over the top. And I felt like, again, it was a gift that I already had growing up. Like I had really no problem connecting with people and being empathetic with people. So we could kind of see each other eye to eye. And I was listening to this podcast. I forget what it's called, but it was kind of teaching you like how do you find like the values that are most important to you. So the whole premise is you got to write 25 I believe statements, 25 of them. So I gave my journal as like I believe this, and it took me like 3 months to really like figure out how many like what I really believe
Your
in,
core values.
like your real core values. Like so that's something that you have to like. Hey, I wake up, I go to sleep, I still believe the same things. Those things will never change. So, or at least they're going to evolve from there. So I did the 25 statements and I kind of boiled them down. And I was like, okay, well, this kind of falls under like love. And all of this is more like energy type of stuff. This is more about just being disciplined. And I was like, well, like, okay, well, LED. I was like, okay, well, That's what it is, I guess. But then I was kind of like, okay, LED, like, oh, like LED lights, okay, like be the
Yeah.
light, okay, you could be the light for other people. I was like, okay, I think I'm, but I didn't know what to do with it. So I kind of had this, it was like a personal belief system that was driving my daily behavior. Okay, so obviously I have something I can work with. I'm thinking about like using as like my main culture as a football coach, as an educator. When you come into my classroom, is very evident. I mean, I have it like in big letters in my classroom, like LED or love, energy, discipline. So you can't miss it when you come in my classroom.
Oh, you tapped in, tapped in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
I
he
mean,
tapped in, J. Jones.
when you
yeah.
really believe in like what you're doing with all that kind of conviction, I feel like you have no choice but to just let it come from you. So it's not like oh that's his brand, so he's just putting it on everything. I'm like, no, like if you come talk to me, like I promise you, you're gonna walk out of here thinking the same thing. Like, or like if you're like an energy vampire or whatever, hey, come on in. You can come talk to me. I promise you,
Right.
it probably won't be the same after I'm done talking to you though. So I definitely feel like that was the most important thing for me. And from there, I was like, okay, well, how do I share this with other people? And that's when I just started like hitting up friends like, hey, what if I sent you a daily email Monday through Friday at 4 in the morning? It's the first thing you're going to read every morning. It's not going to be a long read. It's probably going to take you 30 seconds. It's going to take you 10 seconds to read it, about 15 seconds to meditate on it, or how does it apply to you in your life? And you just go on and you just go do what you got to do, and then kind of apply what you read in the email to your daily life, because it works well with teams. It works well in the workplace because I mean, all three of us, we know what it's like to be in the workplace. You've had different experiences, and we all it applies to your family too. Like LED is it's a personal belief system that drives our daily behavior. So anything you come in contact with, LED is going to be pretty prominent. They really look to apply it that way. So now I'm up to 36 readers. So it's kind of taking on a life of its own. And then after that, shirts, just doing little things, kind of starting to brew some things up and think about where I want to go from there. And really, it's really in the beginning stages, but I'm really proud of what it's become, because I think that a lot of people really do vibe with like everyone somebody, or everyone like wants good vibes or good energy, and everyone says that they want to be disciplined, and they realize that discipline is super important achieving the goals that they want. But LED is so much more about diving into like what is love, and like what are we doing with that? How do you cultivate passion? How do you cultivate those things? Energy is so much more than just, oh, you got good energy, you got bad energy. Like there's focused energy, there's all these different kinds of things that you can do. There's empathetic energy. Like you have to choose the right energy for the situation that you're in and then just do it. You can't just be like, okay, well, you go into a situation where you know you're about to get into an argument with your significant other, and most people, what they do, the energy is like, oh, I'm about to get in a fight, so I gotta come in here with my dukes up.
Right.
So then you already going in there not trying to understand anybody. You
Yeah.
go in there already looking for confrontation. So you gotta choose the correct energy, and I'm working on helping people do that, and then discipline, just kind of driving that home, and just saying like, hey, you want to achieve all these things, and I'm not saying you can't do it, but you can't have $1 million dream with 10 cent work ethic.
Facts.
So it's just all about cultivating that, and working on some keynote speeches. I just gave my first one at the Cathedral Football Banquet.
What's
We're
up?
going to be doing some leadership workshops with a few sports teams locally. So really, it's just about taking LED and putting it in people's lives and letting them do the work. Because once people start doing that, they will be the light for other people, and they'll be living the LED way. That's the new thing I'm kind of trying out, the LED way.
Yeah. Hey,
Facts.
question: how do we get on that email list, that read list?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's simple. All you gotta do is send me your email. I mean, I'm on Instagram, LED be the light. All you gotta do is go on there, DM me on Instagram, say, hey, I want to be on this list. All I do, I just throw you. It's on Mailchimp, and then the very next morning or the next available morning, you should be getting that first email. It comes in pretty early. I want it to be the first thing you read in the morning, because you know when you wake up, You got that long list of notifications. I'm really trying to train the eye, like, okay, forsake all that other stuff. I promise you, you could read your work email, your text messages, ESPN, whatever you got going on. You could do all that after you read this email, because this email sometimes is simple, sometimes it's something that's going to challenge your mind, but it's you got to start your day with this, because it's really important for any person that identifies himself as a leader, or any person that just identifies as someone they want to help other people.
Right.
I think that's really important. But all you gotta do is send an email, or contact me. Say, hey, this is my primary email. This is this is the best one to contact me at, and then you're on and rolling from there.
That's a bet. I'm gonna hit you up today.
Yeah, need that. That's powerful, bro. I want to be on that as well, because like it's like I do, when we run our page and we do our quotes, bro. It's like, that's that you try to help influence people with that positive message, to be able to let them know, like, sometimes you just seeing something like that, like that email list. If I wake up in the morning and I read something powerful, and I kind of had that realization, like, oh yeah, I already thought that, but it's like, man, like now I read it. Even those people that think they know everything already, they think like, oh, I don't need any positive affirmations, because there's a lot of people that think like that. But it's like,
Yeah.
when you have it in your face, it's like, oh man, I forgot. You know, that's that's why, like, churches are in business. Like, yeah, people don't understand that. Like, even though you may have read the Bible back and forth, like when you go to church and you hear a sermon about a certain message, a certain sermon, it's like that power comes back to you. It's like it's a fresh experience. Every time you get those types of quotes, it's like a fresh experience. You may be down on yourself. You may be having a depressive bout, or you may be feeling super anxious about something. And then now Brown and let me know that, man, there's no reason to be anxious. You should be confident in your preparation. Boom. Like now I'm like, oh, I'm good. Like, what I'm saying, I'm ready to rock. It's just hearing that will aid you. You know what I mean? So it's being that light is really, it's a responsibility. I mean, we all have that responsibility, whether we want to call it the LED light, call it be a light, call it whatever how we want to say that. We have a responsibility to be a light regardless, because it's people that's watching us. We all got younger siblings, kids. We got people that are depending on us. We may be leaders. Both of y'all are leaders in your own professions, as well as myself. So there's people that are depending on us to be a certain type of person for them. You know what I mean? Like they need you, and everybody has a role like that in some capacity. Just being that light is important, man. We need that guidance and that support at times.
And I think what makes it so crazy is that a lot of times I will base these emails off of like what I saw or what I went through that day. So a lot of times it's like, okay, I do read a lot of books. Well, a lot of it's also like, hey, I walked in the building today and I saw this. And I immediately just start writing and thinking like, okay, jotting things down. Like, what did I observe? How does that apply to me? So that's why I've already had people tell me like, oh, like a lot of these messages are real relatable, because I'm going through the same thing. I'm like, yeah, because everyone's going through it in some sort of way or fashion. Is just a little bit different for everyone. But if you really just pay attention to it, I mean, there's very few like elite groups or organizations or brands or anything like that. Everyone else is kind of functioning on the same plane.
Say it again. Say it again. 'Cause I missed it. I think you cut out on that. You said there are very few elites that are what?
Like there's very few elites that are really functioning on a high level.
Mm.
Like when you think like
We were just
Alabama
talking about that.
football, Clemson football, you're thinking about Nike, Adidas. There's very few brands or companies that are like really just the frontier of everything. Everyone else is kind of functioning on the same plane,
Right.
and everyone's worried about how we're going to get that productivity to get to where we want to be. But ultimately, it's all happening. It's not about the product. I can assure you that it's not
Yeah.
about the product. A
Yeah.
lot of times, it's about the connection between the people that are making the product. Because a lot of the times, I mean, why do you think Disney run the world?
Yeah.
Because their moves are very calculated, but it's also about how they're trying to make you feel. Because if I make you feel a certain way, you're more likely to do something that you might not have done before.
Yeah.
So that's where
Especially
that
especially spend money.
yes.
Especially spend money.
Yeah.
Especially.
So especially when it comes to spending money, and then in our daily lives, it's like, hey, I need this report in by 4 p.m. Oh, well, I just got off work today. I don't feel like doing it. But hey, but if we have a connection and we have a shared vision of where we want our company or whatever, our school, our team to be, more than likely you're probably going to do it because you know that we're in this, we're really trying to build something special. So
Thanks.
a lot of the times the productivity is going to come from how I feel about you and how I feel about our vision and where we're going together. Because if I don't care about you and I'm just trying to, hey, paycheck to paycheck, all right, clock in 7:30, clock out 3:30, all right, you'll, if you really want to get where people are trying to go, you gotta do extra. And the only way people do extra is if they agree with your vision. It's a shared vision that they also share with you, but care about the people that they're doing. If I don't vibe with you, if I don't care with you, if I don't care about you, chances are I'm just gonna clock in 7:30, clock out 3:30, and I'll see you tomorrow. That's it.
So what I'm getting from you, Brown, and what you're saying is that the key is the relationships and the destination for
Yeah.
everybody. It's like when you got an organization together, when you got a team of people together, if you building those relationships and everybody has a shared destination, then you saying that's gonna be the way that you get to that top tier, that Alabama football, to that Disney level, to that becoming into Netflix. Is how the people feel that are working within it, and then them also sharing that shared destination as we know where we're going. And I agree with that, bro. Like I agree. Like that is crazy that you broke it down like that because the most productive I've ever been personally have been on teams where or units where I felt like, what I'm saying, the relationships were dope. I had people on staff that I felt like were friends. I had people on the staff that I felt like were I could trust them. They were
Yep.
confidants, people that were mentors to me, people I mentored, you know what I'm saying? And then, talking about that destination, everyone knew what the destination was. Everyone could echo it within the locker room or they could echo it within the office. It was like if we talked about what are we trying to get done in the next 6 months, we trying to win a championship. We trying to make sure that we get to this point. We trying to make sure that we reach this many people or whatever it looks like. Like those places have been those places that dominated in a relationship, and the leadership is a big part of that, right? It comes from the top down. So when you start up here and the leadership is echoing that down to everybody else, then now that's when you get that kind of automatic motion of momentum. Like, and that's
Mhm.
powerful. You put it like that, bro. Real talk. I love that.
And when I talk to everyone, I tell them, hey, when we come together and we're really trying to go somewhere, there's two tools that we really want to take with us. We want a telescope, we want a microscope. When we have that telescope, we can see further, we can see down the line, we can see our ultimate goals together because it has to be a shared goal. So we
Mhm.
can see where we're going with the telescope. But the microscope lets us look at the little minute things that we do on a day-to-day basis that we can eventually get to where we want to be with the telescope. So when you look at a place like Disney, they're going to be talking about, okay, well, our ultimate goal is to bring like ultimate customer satisfaction or whatever. But on a microscopic, well, are people happy when there's trash everywhere? No. So what do? Okay, well, we're gonna put a trash can strategically every 15 feet inside of our parks. People are like, but when you really go into the park and you looking in there, you're like, it's not dirty.
Yeah.
It's not dirty. So you're kind of like, okay, I kind of see what's going on. So you got to have the telescope so you can see the vision, you can see the long term, but at the same time, you have to have the microscope so you can see the day-to-day things that need to happen so that we can achieve greatness.
And then not only that, Disney even have a person walking around picking up trash while they got those trash cans that close to each other. So if somebody
Man.
picking the trash up, then you got the trash cans everywhere so you can drop them off. The
Yeah,
mission
you
is
can't miss it. It's hard to litter in there.
yeah, real
You
talk,
can't miss it.
real talk.
Yep.
I love that. I
That's
love
big time. Big time. So this
Going out here.
this this kind of for both of y'all because I haven't really experienced this. This being a minority. Being a minority
that. The
squared.
minority, square.
Being a minority squared right now. So you in a
Yeah.
Yeah.
minority town and you are the minority. So El Paso, for example. I grew up in Houston. It's a melting pot. Everybody lives in Houston. You can find anybody in Houston. And then I moved to the DFW. So yeah, I've been to El Paso, but I've never lived in El Paso. So y'all need to tell me about some experience Experiences.
Well, I feel like Coach Brown can really break it down if you dig what I'm saying. But let me kind of add in my little 2 cents here because I've been here for what now? It's been a year, 8 months. Year and 8 months. And bro, like so J. Jones know, and Brian, I tell you, you know what I mean? Like I've been a lot of different places. I've been to Montana where I was a minority in, you know what I'm saying, a predominantly white area, probably 97 to 8%. I'm probably giving them too much. It's probably 99% white. Yeah, J.
brother,
Jones been there as well. So
brother.
yeah. So I've been out there and I had the culture shock thing happen in my life before. So being from Killeen, I was melting pot, went there. That was a culture shock. Then I went to Abilene, Texas, where it was, mixed, pretty good. It ain't terrible mix. It's pretty mixed. And then you got I went to Oklahoma where it was still generally fairly mixed. And then coming to El Paso, I think so I believe it's mixed and it is a minority town where it's predominantly Mexican, right? And then you got like you have white people here as well, which I've seen, but it's like I find it even when I first got here, I find it very hard to find any black people at all. Like when I first got here. Now, being here, I understand that there's certain areas where there's more brothers at, like in the northeast areas from what I've learned a little bit. And then I met Brown when I first got here, who was at Cathedral, and I was like, man, I was like, so he's probably you didn't know Brown, but you was probably one of the four that I had seen being here for like 6 months. So it was like, yeah, it was pretty crazy for me, bro. I just wasn't used to that since Montana time. But even Montana, I had my teammates. So it was like
Right.
my teammates was on the team. The team usually gonna have black people on it. But yeah, man. I mean, for me, it was just a very, very big adjustment. But what I learned a lot was from the culture here, which is very family oriented. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of connection in the people here because they take care of their own first, you know what I'm saying, in regards to like, my cousin works with me here and I work for my dad or I work for my uncle and it's like a lot of stuff gets grandfathered in and I started to kind of just analyze the dynamics of different businesses and people that I would meet and I was like, bro, to me that's dope. Like I wish that was more prevalent in our communities, bro, because we got a lot of us like we said before, bro. Like we work with the hand like this. We don't. A lot of times we don't bring that fist together, which is why we gotta say stuff like Black Lives Matter and kind of come together because I think we're gonna break it down today, bro. I think from the jump, and this is a little off topic, but I think from the jump because we were initially broken apart as black people, like it's a struggle for us to come together. It's a struggle. Like sometimes it's like we have to fight ourselves because it's like, man, they always do that. You don't even notice that you be saying stuff like, oh man, we can't never get it together. That's why I don't rock with this. You know what I'm saying? That happens a lot. And that don't
Mhm.
happen here. And it's taught me here that like, you know what I'm saying? Like the culture here, they're gonna stick together no matter what. And it's like, shoot, I feel you. Like, and I'm gonna work with you because of that. And I'm gonna take that same mindset. I'm gonna bring it to my brothers and sisters and be like, yo, we need to stick together too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Ain't got nothing to do with nothing negative about, hating on nobody else. It's about, that cohesion and that loving who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like believing in what I am. I'm a black man, so we need to come together just like they do. Cause they can do a great job of it. Real talk. Like that's what I learned, bro. Like I was like, from the jump, I picked that up. I was like, man, that's family, bro. That's like they like
Mhm.
thick. It's thick. Like they ain't playing that. So yeah, that's
Mhm.
what I got from it. But Brown from here though. He from here, from here, from here, from here, from here.
Oh
From
yeah.
here.
he from here. He from here, from here, from
Born,
here.
born and raised here
Yeah.
in El Paso. So a lot of times, from my experience, you are the token black friend in whatever group that you hang out in. So I mean, but for a while, I mean, I didn't think anything of it, just because I already knew like this is where I was born and raised. This is how it is.
Right.
So a lot of times, people are like, oh, you're like Blaxican,
Blaxican.
because like you like I'm very much in tune with the culture here, and I know what it's like to live here. But at the same time, I never necessarily grew up in that many black neighborhoods where everyone looks the same. So I feel like my experience is a little bit unique when it comes to this situation because like it just coming from a lot of people's different perspectives, they're like, oh, you don't talk black, or
Mm.
you don't act a certain way. I mean, I don't think anything of it, but then I feel pressured to like act more black at certain times just to act like I can blend in, or like it's like code switching where I can kind
Right.
of talk a little bit different over here and fit in, and then come back over here and talk a little different. I still fit in over here. But I think the experience just here in El Paso, like we says, like you're a minority in a minority town. So a lot of times when you do, like Sloan kind of hit on it, that they do like a lot of the people here, they look at one another, you know. And a lot of times, I mean, I'm not gonna front about it. I mean, a lot of people, they're gonna look out for each other. They look like each other, you know. So like if you look like me, you talk like me, you act like me, I'm probably gonna have your back a little bit more than someone else.
And that's natural. That's
It's
natural.
natural.
That's natural.
I'm gonna take care of my own. But sometimes when you don't look like them, you may not get the same like reception on certain things, or people may not look to you for certain things out off rip. So I don't really speak. I don't speak fluent Spanish. So a lot of times you're behind the eight ball, like already as it is, because
Woo.
this community is bilingual. So
Say
when you
that.
when you go into the professional workforce, they're like, oh, so you got to be able to speak both, because we have a lot of English language learners in this community. So they're already looking at you like, you don't look like you speak Spanish, my brother.
Right.
So you already kind of behind the eight ball there. And then coming from it, like with the sports aspect, I mean, I was a student assistant coach for UTEP. And so obviously every now and then I'm out in public with some UTEP gear on. And it's you kind of run into implicit bias around here. You run into it, and you run into it kind of heavy, and you don't realize how heavy it is here sometimes. So
Explain that.
a lot of your implicit bias is kind of like me saying all black people are good at sports, or white people can't dance, or like just, oh, Asians are good at math. Like
Yeah.
it's an implicit bias. It's like almost perpetuating those stereotypes.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, say I'm at the store with my wife, I'll have a UTEP football shirt on. We're going down aisle 6, and all of a sudden, someone's like, "Oh, so what are you doing over here?" And I'm like, what,
What do you mean by that? What do you mean? What am
what
I
do you
doing over
mean?
here?
What am I doing over here?
Yeah.
Like, and like, well, yeah, like you're kind of far from campus, aren't you? And I'm like, I look at my wife, and she's looking back at me like,
Yeah.
I'm not picking up what you're putting down. And like, well, you play on the team, right? And I'm like, are you just assuming?
You know, ain't gonna ask me if I'm an athlete. Like, you know, ain't gonna just throw that question out there, maybe at least.
Like you're just assuming that because I'm black, and I obviously have some UTEP football gear on, or like you can wear any kind of sports gear out here, and they'll kind of assume that, oh, you must be on a scholarship, you must have came out here to play some ball, and get an education or something, because we are not that common as black people out here.
Yeah.
And we're also attached to a military base.
I was about to say
So
that.
a lot of like my family is a military family as well. My family moved here, and that's when they had me. So a lot of the cases is either you here on scholarship, or you here because you're a military brat.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you can't be from here organically. Like you have to have come from somewhere else. Like you're almost an intruder in this area because we're not used to seeing you here. And it's not like they don't accept you,
Right.
but there definitely is some kind of there's a disconnect, I'll say. There's a disconnect as to like how they're expected to treat us, and how we're kind of expected to assimilate to what's going on here. Because when they see you, they think the stereotype, you know, they think, okay, loud rap music, you must be on scholarship, or you're military.
Mhm.
Like there's just a lot of different things that might come into their minds. Whereas when you come into this situation, you are going to have to be a lot more open-minded if you plan to survive in a town like this, because things are not what we are used to.
Yeah.
Like Sloan said, they are very family oriented here. Like my wife is super duper family oriented, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but that's not something that I'm especially used to, as far as like seeing my family like 3 to 4 times a week or things like that. Like we're married and we still live like 7, 8 minutes away from where her mom and dad stay. And we live another 5 or 6 minutes in a different direction from where her grandma lives. So like the family cohesive unit here is also very strong. And like Sloan said, that's something that I want to incorporate with my family. And when I'm teaching my players, and when I do see other Black people in the community, like it's almost like we gotta be like, hey, and keep it moving, because it's almost like we're afraid to talk to one another. And like kind of like a tidbit here, like people also feel threatened when we do that though. Like if I were to see Sloan in public and I just give him the keep walking and say I don't know him, people are gonna be like, oh, so y'all know each other? What's going on? Like why do Black people give each other the nod all the time? And they think that we're up to something, and we got to do a lot to fix what we got going on in our community. And it really starts with connecting.
Fear, bro. I'm gonna interrupt you. People fear what they don't understand, bro. Like that's just what it is. Like I think people a lot of times fear comes from either you unprepared for something or you just totally don't understand something. And I think that's what it is. I mean, when somebody's afraid of me showing love to another person of my skin color, that means because they don't understand. They are totally oblivious to the fact that I am a minority here, seeing a minority that's happy to see that person because I know how you feel sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just there should never be that issue. Like it should not be that, but it is, and it happens all across the country, bro. Like I'm sure, like there's places where you go heavily Black dominated neighborhoods where you know what I'm saying. You come in as a Mexican, you a super minority. You gonna have to find some other Mexicans because they ain't around like that. Which I mean, in the same situation, it's like you're gonna have to as a person to not be like worried about when you see people coming together of the same race, you know what I'm saying? You gotta hey, be open. Like don't be so lost in your own little mindset of things because everybody has their own perspective. Like in a situation where, it's a not fair. I don't know how to put this. Prejudice. I feel like that's all fear. Like you prejudice because you scared of something. And then you're not confident because you ain't opening your mouth to ask questions. You're not really trying to find out. Because if you find out, then usually it'll release that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think
And
it's gonna be.
a lot of that fear, in my experience, it comes from like a lot of people are fearful that your existence is at the detriment of their position.
Mm,
So they fear that you simply existing in that space
yeah.
is a detriment to where they're at. So maybe they're in a more powerful position, or maybe like you come in again. It kind of comes in if you prepared well, and you're able to code switch, and you know how things work,
Yeah.
and you come in, you speak their language, and people are now they look at you like a threat.
Yeah.
So it's not even so much that you're even welcome. In some circles, you're going to be seen as a threat because
Yeah.
they're afraid of what you're capable of, and that's something that's real big here too.
Man, that's. I mean, like when I think about this as well, J. Jones, you was in Montana, bro. You was in
Yes, sir.
Billings, Montana. That's where you was
I
at.
was in. Yeah.
You was in Butte. You was in Butte.
I was about to say I was. When you said business, I was about to say I wish.
You better. You the Butte. You the Butte. Talk about that too, bro. Because I mean, it ain't too much different now. I mean, what? I take that back. It's way different
Way
because
different.
you are one of the only Black men in a very white state. And we all know our history in regards to the way when going back in that. So that's a whole different dynamic. So I mean, what do you think, or what did you experience in that regard, and how do you think that kind of affected you?
The same thing that Darius said. Every time I went to the store, because I coached at Montana Tech, in my gear, it was like kids following me, like, "Yeah, y'all play Saturday. And what position do you play?" And I'm like, I coach.
Yeah.
It's like I don't play or whatever. But every time I saw a black person, well, really, every time two black people seen each other, period, it's like
I see it in your face just now. It's just
it was like,
like,
where are you from? You know, like, and we didn't even care if they, cared. We talked because it was like Kerry said, I was there for 7, 8 months, and I probably saw 6 black people.
yeah.
So every time I was like, "Hey, where you from? Where you stay?" Like we were
Where
trying to
you
look
stay
out
at?
for each other.
Where you stay?
You barbecuing this week?
Yeah.
Like anything. It was a dude that worked he worked in at the front desk, and he was in admissions, and I was recruiting a player, walking around the school. He called the coach's office and said, "Hey, who is the new coach? Shoot him my number." And he was like, "Hey," he texted me. He was like, "I just wanted to tell you about Butte, Montana, and just let you know what you into. What you got yourself into, basically." Which it was nothing. It was, Montana's not racist or anything, but
Nah.
I always did get the "What are you doing here?" looks.
Yeah.
So I understand that look. It's kind of like, but once you wear your gear, it's like, "Oh, you're here for football." So okay, you're cool. But even when I wear my regular clothes, going to the grocery store or something, people will be like, they would double take. But I'm big. I guess I look like a football player, so they'd be like, "Okay,
Must be
you
on
play football?
scholarship. Must
You
be
play
on
football?"
scholarship.
the
Exactly.
the majority in any situation in any group needs to know that the outsider coming in that looks a little different, may act a little different, talk a little different, has something similar to us. Like what do you have going on with you that makes you not a threat? Like you said, Coach Brown, what do you have about you that makes you, or what? How can I find myself confident in knowing that you here in this room? Uh, and I think it just, bro, it's just kind of being vocal, and communication is really what rules that whole situation in its entirety. I mean, I make sure I open up any communication with anybody I feel any of that type of stuff with. Like, if I feel like you may have a prejudice vibe going on, I'm gonna definitely open conversation with you if I can in any way, even if we don't speak the language of each other. I'm gonna give you something. I'm gonna give you
Mm-hmm.
something because I need you to understand something. Like, I'm all love. You dig what I'm saying? Like, I'm not hate in any way. And my whole thing is like, I'm trying to make sure that, like you said, you perpetuating something. I'm trying to perpetuate love. I'm trying to perpetuate gratitude, appreciation, because I could sit here and be angry at you for the fact that you don't understand where I'm coming from. You don't understand my plight as a black man. So now I'm mad at you about it. But what's that gonna do for me?
Build more hate.
It's not gonna do nothing for me. I'm not
Build
gonna get
more
nothing
hate.
from, yeah, I'm not gonna get nothing from there, bro. Like, I won't get anything from there. I feel like the big thing is just making sure I can communicate with you when the time comes, and also being able to just, like, be confident in myself. That's why I can
Mm-hmm.
go places where other people of my skin color may not be willing to go, because I'm not afraid of getting caught by the misunderstandings that people are gonna have or they're gonna put on me. I gotta be comfortable enough in my own skin to say, you know what, I'm a strong black man. Like, I know that. Like, whoever's intimidated by that, that's their problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to deal with that. But the energy that I'm bringing, it's not gonna just be denied. Like, like, energy is transferred. So once I bring my energy, this energy is going to transfer to somebody else, or transfer to somebody else, transfer to somebody else, come back to me, and I'm still living my same life, bro. I'm not giving out my energy to these whack people that are, fixated on, oh, you don't look like me, you don't sound like me, you don't talk like me. Like, all right, cool.
I ain't even worried about
I'm not even worried about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not worried
it.
about that. And most times, I think when you come with the good energy, you usually get it back. I mean, you don't
Yeah.
really, like, even the people that's on that stuff, they don't give it to you. They don't give it to you. They know better. They know
Well,
better.
one of the big things, and I had to kind of remind myself of this when I first started really like looking into stuff like this. How many times do you realize that like you walk around with a mean mug like you don't want to be bothered?
Me.
Like, like that's all the time.
Hey,
So then,
this one right here, bro. This is my dog, bro. I had to tell him, bro. This is my dog. He the nicest dude ever. Like, this dude was funny. Everybody loved J.Jones. But when I first met him, it just be sometimes we would go out. I was like, bro, like, you look like you you like you ready to punch somebody in the face right now. He be like,
and,
what
I
you
didn't
mean?
even know.
and that's a big thing. And like, I mean, prior to COVID, because now everyone got a mask on,
Yeah.
but I had to make it a point to like when I see someone and they look at me, I make it a point to smile at them
Yeah.
and like really be like, hey, like how you doing? And stuff like that. Because then like when you do that, like their prejudice goes like, oh, I wasn't really expecting you to
Hey.
communicate with me and be civil with me. I was trying to make assumptions about you, and you kind of debunk that just by saying hello and,
Mm-hmm.
and just being warm towards someone else. Because I mean, it really is that simple sometimes. Because I know for me, when I feel like I'm busy and I got to get somewhere, I don't
Oh
have
yeah.
time to smile. So I'm moving with like a very direct energy. Like I'm not smiling. My face is very much like
Yeah.
I'm not here to be your homie at that
Right.
moment.
Yeah.
Stuff done.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure that I make a point to like, hey, smile at people, especially when you gain that confidence and you really feel like you really that guy, you really feel like you're that guy, then that's when you're able to smile at people and really be like, you're weird for smiling. But it's like, hey, that's just the energy I'm bringing to the room. Like, again, if you got an issue with that, that's a you problem. That's not necessarily a me problem. So
Yeah.
I
Right.
definitely like how we carry ourselves is going to be really big, especially when you are a minority in a minority town. Is that the energy in which you carry yourself is a big deal because everyone's already looking at you like, even if they're not like overtly thinking it, in the back of their mind it's like they're singing the song like one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah.
So
Straight up. Straight up.
so you have to kind of look you got to be able to code switch. And a lot of that comes with just being confident in who you are. You got to choose that energy. You got to choose, like, hey, I'm going in here. I'm going here with a smile on my face because I have nothing to pout about. And then you just go and you can just attack the day that way. And you kind of see that people start to gravitate towards you thereafter that. And then all of a sudden, like, prejudice and color really isn't an issue. But it's because you have to choose the right energy. And then if people don't choose the right energy on their end, that's on them.
Yeah, energy is universal. I mean, it's not, it's not stuck or dictated towards anything. Is universal. Like it's not because of your language or because how people feel. You just got to understand that energy is universal. Like every person that you meet is a person, right? It's everybody you come across is truly a person. They got their own perceptions, they got their own experiences, they had their own day before they saw you. So they probably had a terrible day. So it could not be their prejudice or something like that. They probably had a bad day. You never know what could be really going on. But I do want to kind of just touch on the fact that there are injustices and things like that that are real that's going on all across the country. And I mean, what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. You know what I'm saying? And like there's statistics and things like that that back up. I'm off this topic kind of a little bit. I'm kind of going into another place, but the statistics that back up, bro, like that no, we underrepresented in a lot of different ways. I mean, as black people, like this just we're underrepresented where we don't have enough equality and equity in certain places that I mean it still needs to be addressed. We need to continue to do that. And whether or not other races are advocating for that, we need to advocate for that ourselves. And love ourselves enough to be able to say when something's being done wrong to a black person, you can speak up on that and say, you know what I'm saying, that with your chest out and with pride and love for your brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something I really, really want to talk about because we always want to give good energy. And I'm not gonna say that that's what creates all the problem solutions. You know what I mean? That doesn't create all the solutions, bro. That doesn't I mean, there's still stuff that ain't right and we gotta find out ways to get that fixed. And I'm not talking about just in El Paso, I'm talking about all over. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of wanted to add that to the whole mix for real.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
All right.
that's
Fact,
facts.
fact,
That's
factual,
facts.
factual.
Big fact.
I think it's really interesting just because one of the main things that I tell my students also is especially like how do you expect to fight for you when you haven't put foot forward first? So it's kind of happening the same thing with the black community that I feel like as a collective we haven't put our best foot forward yet. Like we're still kind of splintered in different ways. So yeah, we want everyone else to like join the wave and really get behind like they seeing these injustices and really speaking on them. But again, until we really come together and say, hey, we need to make these honest observations and evaluations about ourselves as a community, and then we need to start fixing our own problems too, and then we can step forward and say, this is what we want to change, this is what we're trying to fix. Because a lot of times we perpetuate our own issues too. So I
Yeah.
think when we really come to other people and they say, how can we help? Like, okay, we can give you a concrete list of how y'all can help, but we need to also look at ourselves and be like, hey, but some of the things we doing ain't ain't all that either.
Yeah.
Can't nobody give me personally, can't nobody give me the solution to my problems in America. I can give me the solution to my problems. I gotta be able to fix that. And that's within, like, we talk about programs that we trying to build, right? You working with the young black leaders. J.Jones is doing things with the Fearless Foundation. I'm trying to get things going this summer. We're gonna all come together. All y'all brothers gonna be in it. So just go ahead and kind of have that in your mind. But there's gonna be things that where we are developing those that are had those moldable minds, the youth, the ones that really are impressed upon by all the stuff they see, and make them believe in themselves as young black people. Like, you can do more than be an entertainer or be a rapper. Like, you have more, and really even more to being a coach, because I don't think that's something we don't add to that. But a lot of athletes, when they go through the game, what they do when they get done,
Let's
Start
coach.
coaching.
they coach, because they believe that they only good for the
Yeah.
athletic part of things. My body and my ability to entertain folks is the most important thing about me, which is not true. You need to teach
Right.
people soft skills like Coach Brown doing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, teach these kids that, hey man, like, you can actually be a tech guy. Like, you could be a guy that's going change the trajectory of a company because you understand how to manipulate the technology, work the social media, work this, work that. You could do coding. You could do a lot of different things. There's a lot of different ways to build that within us, but we have to focus on us to do it. Like those problems you're talking about that we have, that we got to be able to, take care of ourselves. We have to focus on us to do it. We can't
Yeah.
forget about us when we see us in the area and there's only 10 of us, right? Well, take the 10 and focus on the 10.
We gotta boost the 10.
Let's get the 10
Yeah.
going. Like, they right there. Like, but you walking by, I'm like, man, like, bro, good luck, bro. All right, bro. Like, nah, like, no,
Hey,
it's,
I'm going this way, bro.
yeah, I'm
You
going this way,
gotta
bro. So
help
do
me
you,
make it over there.
I mean, whatever. I mean, I know y'all young, but hey, this what the world gonna be like. No, like, you gotta, like, really cultivate them, and you gotta do it yourself first. You gotta have your mind right.
But but Gary, that's kind of how we was talking about earlier. Like, healing the person in turn helps heal the community.
Facts.
I said that earlier. Like, you heal one person, you heal that 10-year-old that needs to see a black man doing tech. That 10-year-old that see a black man, doing something besides sports, counseling, going to counseling. Opening up that window for another person. Yeah. So
That's
yeah,
one.
just exposure. We always say it, having exposing these kids to something different because they don't even know. So we heal these kids. We help heal these kids with these programs we're doing. The LED, the BLI, just this podcast, the Fearless Foundation. We exposing kids to something they haven't seen before.
Yeah.
We had a boys' day with a whole bunch of black kids, black young men, and just told them, like, we all have degrees. It was probably 16 grown black dudes in there with degrees and something different. Kinesiology, engineering, education. So just hearing that, you could see, like, the black kids, like, oh, y'all graduated college? And we're like, yes. So, but they just never seen something like that. So, help you heal one, you reach one, teach one, like we always say. So
I think that's huge, especially because there's just a large deficit of black men in the classroom, like black men in education. So I mean, I think like coaching is all fine and good and stuff, but I just make sure I tell my students, like, do not call me coach or any of that when we're in the classroom. Like, when we're like, I try to make sure it's very like separated, because out there, yes, I'm gonna coach you, and I'm gonna run you hard. I'm gonna do what we gotta do to make sure that you're ready. But when we step off the white lines, I very much want to teach you, like, okay, how do we treat women? How do we treat people that we may not share the same views with, and things like that. And as we step into the educational sphere, it's really bigger than that, because you really get into education, and again, minority and minority. Now you're talking minority within a minority within a minority, because for one, you don't see as much men in education, like teacher roles, but you also don't see a lot of black men as teachers. So again, that's another place where we could really be making more of an impact, like telling these kids or showing these kids through action, like, hey, like I really am here for you. I'm really trying to do all these things. And you can see that like I made it here and I chose to be here. Like I didn't say, oh, well, I didn't make it to the league. So this is where I'm at now. Yeah, a lot of it is like, I don't want to go to the league, bro. Like I want to be here making a change in the youth. I want to be here teaching you these soft skills. I want to be here teaching you to have an entrepreneurial mindset if college is not. I mean, I love for you to go to college, but as we can see now, that's not the only way to get your bag these days. So if that's your way, then I want to make sure that I'm teaching you certain skills that transcend a football field, a basketball court, or anything like that. I want to make sure that I'm educating you in ways that those are ways we can generate generational wealth is actually pouring into people and healing the mindset so that people can really go back out into the community and then they can really become the change that we want to see.
Facts. And I think it's important, like you added to that, like they don't have to go to college, you know what I'm saying? And people that are teaching, you know what I'm saying, people that are coming back and giving to the youth, like you don't have to be in college, you don't have to have gone to college, you don't have to be a teacher. Like you could be somebody that's doing something that's different than what these kids already know. And it's like that's bro, you like I said somebody said something like this. They said you don't have to go to school to own a college. Y'all know that?
Facts.
You don't have to go to school to own a college. You don't have to have a college degree to own a college. You don't
You
have to have
don't.
a college degree to own a school. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm going against people going to college, but it's like that just shows you that there's people in this world that know things that if they teach it to some of these kids that learn a little bit different, they're a little more eccentric, you know what I'm saying? They're not really like sit down and do things the right way all the time, and they gotta get corralled back in. Cause school is a process that our kids have to go through. But it's like through this process, through this learning, through these experiences, it's like, can we reach all of them? Like for real, like we say that's the mission for education is to reach all different learners, differentiate our instruction so that all of our learners can learn, right? Because everybody's a different type of learner. If you teach
Mm.
somebody the right way, they could be a genius if you teach them the way they learn. But it's like, what about the kid that don't care nothing about school? You know what I'm saying? His mama never there like that. He don't know who his daddy is. Um, he's constantly, what I'm saying, reaching out to gangs, what I'm saying? He's dibbling, dabbling in drugs, but he's smart though. Like he's really, really smart. And he has the type of talent in a certain area that if it was cultivated, that he could change his whole family's life, you know? And what about that kid? How do we get to that kid? Who's gonna get to that kid? Because it may not be the traditional teachers that, what I'm saying, that like you said, if I'm a black boy and I'm in school and I know that I don't see no black man teachers walking around here. It's an older white lady trying to tell me that I need to do this, this, and this to be successful. I'm gonna be looking at her like, especially if I don't already. I mean, all right, miss, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like probably gonna cheat on the work or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You never know how he gonna respond to that. But it's like we have to create those opportunities for them to learn in school and out of school. You know what I'm saying? They need to be learning all the time. And it's like learning is not this like boring thing. That's what kids like keep thinking. It's like, bro, we adults now, we know that we can learn through anything. That's why every adult should have a mentor. Like you can learn through just watching somebody, being in a circle, being in the space, being in the environment. You would just soak up so much game. And we need to create that opportunity for these kids, man. These
Yep.
kids that's going through and they just feel like, man, well, I don't like to learn, mister. I don't like to do this, mister. I just don't like. It's like you do like it. There's something you do know a lot about. Like you know a lot about something. Like, and it sometimes it takes the right type of people that think like minded like these kids, because everybody's different. They come up different. You bring in somebody that has that type of background, and it'll be tremendous, and it'll change everything for those kids. So I think like creating these programs, bro, that supplement education is critical. So it would have been critical for me if I was in one of them. I know it would have been. For me, I just felt like I'm gonna get my aggression out through the game. Like I'm gonna go knock somebody's block off, And I'm not gonna ever think about the trauma that I saw because you are the trauma that I saw human in pads. Like I'm going to knock your block off. And now everybody's gonna praise me for scoring so many touchdowns and getting so many yards, and I'm able to push out big plays and stuff like that, not knowing that, bro, I got a lot of demons I got in this closet, and I ain't trying to let them out. Like I'm trying to just ball out as much as I can so I can go to the league and get drafted, so that I could bring a whole bunch of money to my family and never have to address this. Like kids need to be able to talk about stuff like that, like be able to just sit down. They can still play sports, but at least play sports and have fun with it and not be out there just playing because you like, man, like I gotta fix this life I got. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta, you
Like,
know.
some guys out there playing, and this guy's like, "Hey, I kind of need to ball out if I'm trying to get an offer, and
Oh,
I need to do this because I'm trying to make it to the next level." And then at that point, it's not even a job, and then they're killing the fun
if
for themselves.
if I don't get this offer, I'm finna start robbing.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't get to the league, I'm finna start robbing. Like that's some of these kids' real mindsets. Like they don't really like nobody talks about that stuff. But if I had a backup plan, if somebody created something as a like, if this don't work, then this could work. Then
Mhm.
some of these kids that have more peace of mind. It's like, man, like there's kids that come up in certain communities, affluent communities that know they can play ball really well, right? They're good, but they know if this don't work out, my daddy in real estate. You know what I'm saying? He has set me up. I'm gonna get a real estate license and I'm going to take over daddy's business. Everybody
Yep.
ain't got that. Like we need to create like the BCA associations, things that build a structure to where I can be funneled through at through a progression. Like I can like, man, I know that I've been working on this for so long. Now when I get done, I'm at a certain level in this group. So I have something else I can identify with one. And then now I'm at a certain level in this group. So now, okay, this give me more time to grow with that. And then maybe that'll branch me off into something else. Like that's important, bro. That's so important for all of us, not even just the kids, man. Just for everybody. We all need to know that one thing isn't the only thing. Diversify yourself. Diversify your skill sets. Like you got more than just the thing you doing. That's why, what I'm saying. It's funny, bro. We talk about this because I know what the podcast sometimes being an educator. I always wonder if people think like as an educator, if I think I want to do more than just teach. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm doing so many other things. But it's like, of course, of course, I want to do a lot of different things because I'm a multifaceted person. Why would I do one thing? Like if I'm
Mm-hmm.
a coach, why would I just coach? Like, what did God make me to just be a coach? That's it. God gave me a whole bunch of skills. Like, I just gotta be on that journey in life to find them skills and be able to cultivate them. And so does every other person on this earth. Like, you are not just made for your title. You are not just made for your thing you doing right now. And that's what we gotta tap in with, man. As a
Yeah.
people, all people, black, white, Asian, Mexican, whatever, whoever you are, you need to tap into understanding that you are a multifaceted being, bro. Like straight up, straight up, straight up.
Find
Life don't wait up. Go ahead.
yeah. I was about to say, find your purpose. Are you wasting air? You're just wasting time. Get out there and find it. Do
Just
what you got
here,
to do. Yeah, you just here. So
just here.
yeah.
And
But
the moment that you find what you're good at or something that you're interested in, that's when you go. It goes right back to mentoring and finding someone who can mentor you. I think finding a mentor is probably the biggest advice I could ever give.
Oh yeah.
Ultimately, these people are like they're actively pouring their knowledge into you, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be someone who's like older or someone who's been in the game for a really long time. But a lot of it's like someone that you're running adjacent with, y'all running at the same time. And be like, hey, bro, I just misstepped over here. Don't step over there. Step this
okay,
way.
this that.
You're like, hey, we're good, bro. Don't step over here. Step over there. And we're mentoring each other along the way because a lot of the times you're like, hey, we're joining these groups and stuff like that, and I don't know if people are necessarily mentoring each other. Like, yeah, we all share the same plight or we all want to go do the same thing. But ultimately, I think how we mentor each other has got to evolve.
Yeah,
Because it's got to be more than like, hey, do this and then do this and then do this and then you straight.
it needs to
Like,
be real. It needs to be real. It needs to be like real. Like you, like my little brother, you little
Yeah.
sister type. You know what I mean? Like really, like hey, like even that bad stuff, like the good stuff and the bad stuff. Like give it all to me because in reality, that's what's gonna help me. So I don't make those exact same slip ups that you made. That's the value of a mentor. I shouldn't have to read a book to get this, or I shouldn't have to actually go through this. Like you should literally lay it out for me to the point where it's like, okay, like Jay Jones, you didn't talked about it before. Your brother being such a great mentor.
My
Like,
brother, he would do it. He would come home and be like, "Hey, when you get older, don't do it like this, do it like that." And I mean, I trusted him so much that I went through high school. I mean, almost life. I just learned through him. So just being a little brother, or like you said, having a big bro, or you don't even have to be your blood brother. Having somebody that's been through something, they can be the same age. Some can be younger than you, but if they tell you and you can trust them, if they tell you to do something or not to do something, and you can trust them, that's huge. That's a huge way to. That's a huge.
sidebar, you ain't even got to tell them. You only have to tell them they're your
True.
mentor.
True.
That's the crazy thing about it. Like I think sometimes,
You just
like,
looked up to him, like,
bro,
okay.
like me, like I'm not the type that like throughout my life it's been hard for me to just be like, hey, like could you be a mentor to me? Like it's hard for me, but like what has been easy for me is to find somebody that's doing what I do, doing where or going where I want to go, and just linking up with them and just chopping it, providing value for them. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll be, not like like a right hand in some senses, and doing things that they need done without them asking. Like I know what you need. Like I know where you're struggling at. Because everybody's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. That's the thing. Like even these big places where people want to be and they think that these people are doing everything they want to do in life, they struggling with something. Like they struggling with something. Provide that value and stay around. And you're gonna learn everything. You're gonna learn everything because there's something they're not good at. So just find what they're struggling with. And you provide that value in that area because you could focus on it, get better at doing that, and then you might become somebody's mentor in that area. You never know. And I think that's a game, that's a part of the game where people they get lost in it because ego does get in the way for us men for sure. When it comes to stuff like that. I know for me it's been very hard to be vocal and tell somebody that, I'm saying, I'm looking up to you, giving them flowers while they're still alive type deal. Like it's hard for me to do. It's been hard for me to do that because I noticed that the relationship kind of changed with certain people when I did that. So it's like now they thinking, oh, like you the son to me. Like don't call me your son. Like
Yeah,
it's like
that's disrespect.
I'm not your
That's
son, bro.
disrespect.
Like don't call me your son. You're not my daddy. I got one of those. But it's just like I guess being open to learning in any way, in any capacity, you can learn from everybody. You can get a mentor as a child if they good at, what I'm saying, working the Apple pencil on the Apple pad. You know how that's your mentor right there. Your mentor about to teach you how to work this thing so you can get to going and doing your logos and building your content and things like that. You never know. So man, we've been tapped in,
I was
bro.
about to say you gotta go pick. Yeah.
Yeah. Baby girl probably stressed out, you know what I'm
You're
saying?
not like,
Yeah. She's probably like, "What is do that?" But man, it's been a great one. Been a great one, Brown. We appreciate it. It's been a pleasure. We will be
thanks
working
for
in the
having me.
future. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But Jay Jones, it's been a good one. All right, we out for Katie's fire me as her daddy. All
For
All right, Jay. Hey,
right, y'all.
that light come on.
Yep.
That light, you're like, bling, it's like the light
Yeah,
came on.
mentally, you got to be able to say, I can get myself out of any hole.